I was born in Iseyin local government. I was told the day was a Sunday on the 22nd of August, 1954. I started my primary school also in my village at the local authority demonstration school, from where I proceeded, as we had in those days, to the middle school. Students usually stay for 3 years, but I stayed for only 2 years and proceeded to the college, secondary school in 1970. In 2 years thereafter, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria changed the school calendar. We started with January to December, and it was changed to September to July. So I finished in June 1974. Between that time and January 1975, I was in the classroom teaching the elementary, and I proceeded. I went to open my own chambers, Olukayode, Ariwoola and Company in Oyo town. There I was practicing all over Nigeria before I was invited to the bench in 1992. I became a judge in Oyo State and was sworn in on the 2nd of November 1992.
The questions and the comments, and we'll start. And let me remind us, it's 3 minutes, maximum 2 questions per person.
My Lord, I'm happy that you have identified as your core vision issues of reform in our administration of justice, particularly the issues of our rules and procedure of practice. Can your Lordship explain in brief how you hope to achieve this, given the fact that a number of your predecessors had also attempted to deal with these issues? Thank you, my Lord.
There is a growing public concern over the seeming lack of transparency in the appointment of judicial officers at both the state and federal levels. What will you do to ensure transparency and compliance with laid down procedures and global best practice standards? Question number 2. My Lord, the judiciary is pivotal to the strengthening of democracy and good governance. If confirmed as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, my Lord, how will you ensure that the judiciary under your leadership is better equipped to perform this role? And what would be your strategy to ensure that the judiciary is better funded to enhance the capacity of our judicial officers and staff?
We did not write petition. It was an internal memo of, not of the court even, but of justices. There were 15 justices of the Supreme Court then, with the Chief Justice. And we had either individually, as friends, as colleagues, or in group at meetings, raised certain issues that were touching on persons' working conditions of justices, such as some of us not having accommodation at all, particularly amongst my brothers who were appointed in 2020. Some have still not gotten accommodation. Now ask me, where do they live? Some live very far away, and that was why on Monday when we were to sit, we had to wait for a colleague who stayed quite far to the court. Then some vehicles have not been provided. Our entitlement as justices of Supreme Court to attend workshops were claimed not to be provided for, whereas in the budget there were these provisions. When we realized that each time we had a meeting and we took this up, our brother, the Honorable the Chief Justice, then probably forgot or didn't remember to take care of it. Sometimes the management of the court will still tell the Chief Justice there was no money. So we sat together and put something in paper. No secretary typed this. One of us who was secretary to a committee, which was then the welfare committee of the court, typed it, and we all sat and signed, the 14 of us, and after signing this memo, we took it up to deliver it personally to our brother, the Chief Justice. We didn't allow anybody to see this memo. How it came on pages of newspaper is still a miracle to us. We wouldn't know, because we never made it available. But no justice had copy of this memo. We just read it to ourselves and we agreed and we signed and took it to our brother. So I got on the newspapers, if you like, got leaked to the press. We were embarrassed ourselves, and we all met with the Chief Justice again to say what happened. We wanted His Lordship to get the management of the court to meet with us so that we could let them know we had no problem with our number one. Even though we had our complaints, like the distinguished senator said, you know, when there was a circular that moved around that, you know, the generator will be switched off at 4 o'clock, when sometimes we may be sitting in court till 6. And I had to climb up the staircase when I arrived the court before 8 a.m. because the circular said generator won't be switched on until 8 a.m. So any justice that came before 8 must either have to stay there if he cannot climb, or climb the stairs to the second to the third floors. We felt that was embarrassing enough. We told our brother, the Chief Justice, and nothing was done to it. I mean, he said he didn't know, you know, what was happening. That was exactly what happened. It was not a petition. The justices were not protesting. You know, no, it was not a protest. We couldn't have carried placards. I haven't stayed this far. This is my 11th year in the Supreme Court. I know that judiciary, even though said to be the third arm of government, cannot work alone as an independent arm of government. The Supreme Court, or the judiciary, if you like, needs the other two arms of government, mostly. Particularly, this Honorable Senate, in that the judiciary of Nigeria is suffering of lack of funds. We're trying to introduce technology. This has gone far in other climes. Technology is so germane, it's so important that it is my desire to introduce like e-filing and electronic service of processes. By October, when we are doing our legal year, work has gone very far on the rules of court. It must have been read in our memo that for over 3 years, rules of court were prepared, and we haven't seen, it hasn't seen light of day. Because this is just the Supreme Court. And there are other courts in the judiciary of this nation. But we want to, in the Supreme Court, give the lead, amend our rules and procedure so that we'll move from the archaic procedure that we've always engaged. So that, businessmen, investors, we know that the courts are functioning and they are being effective. Not just giving judgments, but we are doing effective services. The appointment of judicial officers is provided for in the Constitution. To be appointed to the High Court judge, the Constitution says you must be 10 years in practice. To go to Court of Appeal, 12 years. And to be a Justice of Supreme Court, 15 years. That is what most people think is all about. And, so they aspire. But I'm happy that the National Judicial Council plays a great role in appointment of judicial officers in this country. The state will sit, propose, recommend. These ones will be subjected to interview. You must be in active practice. And I've always told some of our people, you must search yourself, know your worth. To be a judicial officer, it's not a, I beg your pardon, palongo. It's not a dance that you can learn on the way. You've got to know yourself, know your worth. That's why we should play to ourselves to ask whoever is our nominee, can you do this job? And that's why most often, and in some states, we are said to be only seen and not heard. We cannot be heard to complain. We keep quiet often, and we are denied of our entitlements.
Distinguished colleagues, please. Oh dear. Chief Whip, please let them sit down, please. Oh my God. Distinguished colleagues, please let's sit down.